Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Tuesday. It's Daryl here. It's bright and freaking early. You know it, man. 3:31 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. This is going to be a good video. Let's just say I feel very strongly about this video. It's about one of the January 6th defendants. And you guys know, I tell you this all the time. I don't like just rehashing, just reading a news story, then coming on here and rehashing it to you. But as soon as I read this news story, it reminded me of my life and the way I look at life now. And I really feel strongly about this video, and I hope you watch the whole thing. All right, so you know who this defendant is. He just recently was found guilty. I don't believe he's been sentenced, but I'm sure you guys have seen this guy. He is the guy that was in Nancy Pelosi's office. There was closed circuit camera, whatever you call it, and he was caught on film in Nancy Pelosi's office with his foot up on the desk, smoking a cigar. A cigar, of course. They all smoke cigars. What does that? Sometimes it's so obvious from the outside. And he get this. He calls himself BIGGO. His name is Richard Barnett. He's 62 years old, and he refers to himself as BIGGO. And I assumed he was at least over 6 feet or big. And down below there's a link to CNN, and he's standing next to his attorney. And either his attorney is like 6'6" or 6'8", or BIGGO isn't that big, but that's not what this video is about. I want to talk about BIGGO's defense here and some of the ridiculous things he said to defend himself and how it reminded me of who I used to be and what I learned. Okay, so in this trial, some of BIGGO's defenses were that he didn't even mean to go inside the Capitol, that he said that he's hyper. Right, so that's he doesn't have boundaries. That's what his attorney said, and he just got pushed along in the crowd. Seriously, he's seriously claiming this. And somehow, like a pinball, he just got jostled around, and he got jostled right into Nancy Pelosi's office just by accident. And he realized those other people, the other defendants, somehow they got mace in his eyes, or the police. He had mace in his eyes, so he couldn't see where he was going. And he got bounced all around. He's seriously claiming this in court. And he bounced into Nancy Pelosi's office. And he noticed that he got blood on the desk, or blood in her office. This is what he said. So he left a quarter on her desk, even though she's not worth it. His quote, I guess for the cleaning charges, I don't know. And then he left her a note that BIGGO was here, you biatch. Okay. And then about that note, so in the link down below, the reporter, the commentator from CNN, who's a woman, took him to task for that, especially because in his defense, he said that he used a slang term, biatch, instead of bitch. And somehow that's a term of endearment when you call somebody a biatch. So the CNN commentator asked him, well, does he like Nancy Pelosi? And you watch this guy just lie his butt off. And get this, his attorney says that the federal government doesn't have the luxury of misrepresenting facts. Because he's there to make sure they put the commas everywhere, the period and punctuation. They don't have the luxury just because they're the federal government. So he's there to make sure that they don't misrepresent facts. Misrepresent facts. Really. He was bouncing like a pinball, and he bounced into Nancy. He didn't even mean to go in the Capitol. That's what he said. Let's look at this. Let's really look at this. This reminds me. Okay, before I get into it, people on the left, people on the right, we all know he's lying. He's lying. He's lying, trying to save his butt. The people on the right are probably saying, good, he's trying to get out of this. The charges are false. He was just there for his nation, fighting for election, against election fraud or whatever. And people on the left are like me, are just like, you got to be freaking kidding me. This guy, are you serious? And so basically, everybody that hears this, they know it's a lie. Everybody that hears this knows he's lying. He knows it's a lie. That's what this video is about. How that affects him in the long run. This is how I relate it to my life. Back in 1999, I was a truck driver. I was a Teamster truck driver. I'd been working at the same place for 7 years. I was getting paid great. I had a great job. I had moved up in the company. But I was using every week, and I was using a lot. I would use on payday, cocaine. And I knew there was random drug tests, and they were usually, I got paid on a Wednesday. We had a 4-day work week. It was a great job. And we usually had the tests on Thursday. So I knew if I was going to keep rolling the dice, that sooner or later, I was going to get called for a random. So one Thursday, I'd been up all night, spent all my whole paycheck. Got it Wednesday, spent it Wednesday night, came in, didn't sleep all night, drove the truck, came in, and I got back off the road. Another hour till I punch out. Daryl, you've been called for a random. Game over. Game over right there. That's what I said to myself. And up to that point, I had been lying about everything. And at that point, I just had enough because other people had been, I would say at least a half dozen other people in that company had already been caught with dirty urines. And some of the excuses they said, like, oh, I must have picked up a rolled up bill that had residue on it. That was one real excuse. Something in his cereal, one of the other guys said, swear to God. I kissed a girl at the bar and it must have transferred the substance. These are actual excuses. And I remember hearing these excuses and I was just like, not only are you an addict with a problem, but now you're just a big fat liar on top of it. So I went down, I was just resigned to my fate at that point. And I went down, I took the test, and I told the guy I had to be accompanied all the way down. Everybody did. Right in, they watch you. From that, as soon as they tell you got a random, they don't leave your side. And I told them, yeah, I'm dirty. And I came the next day. They said, oh, you can't go out on the road. So I figured the test came back. And I said, just tell me, I'm dirty. I know I'm dirty. I owned up to it. I got a problem. First time in my life I ever said that. I asked for help. They said, well, we're going to give you 2 weeks severance and you're out of here after 7 years. And it was a Teamster job. I was union, but it was in the contract. If you steal or you come up dirty, which both things I had done, you're fired. So I asked, I said, can I get help? Will that change it? I need help. And I was serious. No, it's, you can get help on your own, but as of today, you're fired. That's it, and, I walked home. I didn't even have a car at that point. I had spent, I got paid a lot of money every week, but I spent every cent of it on drugs. And I walked home, and it took 7 years after that. But that's when I started owning up to the fact that I had a problem. I thought about telling the truth that day. What if this defendant told the truth right there? He still would have got nailed to the wall just like I did, without a doubt. But down the road, now I see how that changed my life so much for the better. I owned up to having a problem. It took 7 years till 2006 before I actually got clean and sober for good. But that was the first point where I stopped lying, not to everybody else, but to myself. I stopped lying to myself because I realized the toll that was taking. A lot of times, let's admit it, when you lie, you start to believe that lie, or at least I did. I started believing the lies I told. I really pictured the whole scenario in my head. And if you asked me 10 years later, I would have thought that the lie was the truth. I actually started believing this stuff. But that day, I told the truth. And it changed my life. That's why I'm sitting here. What if I didn't lie? What if I saved my butt? And they believed the lie, and I kept my job? Where would I be today? Guaranteed I would have still kept using. I would have inevitably lost that job and probably lost every job after that. I probably wouldn't even be alive today, or I'd be in jail if I had succeeded with that lie. And I look at this guy, and sometimes you just got to own up. You got to own up to it. You got to take responsibility for it. But the big difference was that I stopped believing the lie that I was telling everybody else on that day. And that changed my life so much for the better. I had to pay a big price, without a doubt, but that was the price that I owed the world. I owed for doing the wrong thing. Today, I make a lot of mistakes. You guys know that. But I don't go anywhere. I don't do things. I do things I'm embarrassed of, but I don't have to lie about them. I think beforehand, what's the end result? Why am I doing this? Like, if he thought, why is he doing this? Why is he really doing this going into the Capitol? Was it really for the election and all that? Or was it for the people around him? Was it for the videos, for people seeing him inside the Capitol, for his wife or his girlfriend or his kids, or all his friends, all his right-wing friends? Look, I stormed the Capitol. Who was it really for? Who was that really for? It was probably for the people around him. He thought about getting filmed. And he was there. He was one of the the second Boston Tea Party. Was it really for, changing whatever? Maybe she thought Trump would see him and give him a post. It was for the other way other people looked at him. But now other people just look at him as a big fat liar. That's and he's probably going to believe the lies he told, just like I believe the lies I told. And my life would have never changed. I'm guessing his life won't change. And he's just going to go on doing the same thing and getting the same results. Just a thought. Let me know what you think. You guys have a good Tuesday.